Ladies and gentlemen, here they are from Mandalore. For Mandalore! Barry Lowin, Emily Swallow, and Rory Ross. Welcome back on stage.
Hi everyone.
Have you guys seen that amazing Lego village back there? I was just
huge.
looking at it. I missed the march over here because of it, but it was worth it. It was really cool. No
Thanks for
offense
letting
to
us
our
know you were
amazing
gonna-
escort.
Do that.
So, great to have you back here on stage. As I just figured, I hope you enjoy your stay here in Cologne.
Are you having a good time?
Oh yeah. You guys having a good time?
It always takes a bit for Germans to be like that, you know, we're not
Cautious.
really
It's okay. A
emotional.
little bit
So,
cautious. Make sure it's not a trap. That's fair.
so don't be scared if we just silent because it's
I
just
might
here
get
in
to
the
get
hall.
everybody dance later. Very nice dance party sometimes.
Oh, why, speaking of that, yesterday we promised you will spill the beans. About Barry and you want to make up stories about Rory. That was what we promised yesterday.
I didn't
We'll get back
promise.
to
I said
that.
I
Yeah,
could.
let's not start with that.
Nobody came to the table to ask me to make up stories about Rory though, so I never got the chance.
We'll look at that later. Being here, being accompanied by our costumes, having all this Star Wars
This is unbelievable. I mean, these people look incredible.
If anyone has anyone been to conventions in the United States? Yes. How about some noise? Have you been to a convention in the U.S.? Make noise.
Okay.
So, have you been to other conventions in Europe? Really? That's it? That's not very
Has
good.
anyone ever gone to Paris Manga? I was just there a couple months ago, and it's a manga con. But the Star Wars village there was incredible. There were so many different, mostly French. I think there was some Swiss representation there, but I was really surprised at the extent of the cosplay and how, yeah.
For me personally, this is the most amazing cosplay group that I've seen in the whole world.
Yeah.
So shout out to all these guys. Give them my hand. Also because they're doing it for free because they love it, but it adds a whole nother level to this convention and to this event. You know, it's like you're immersed in all of that. So thank you guys. Yes.
You really sound like a Star Wars fan. So may I ask you, we heard of that from you yesterday already. You're in an age where you knew that Star Wars is a success and then became part of
What
it.
do you mean? I'm of an age like I'm old?
No, the other way around.
Oh, okay.
Barry is actually
you're
8
that
years
young
old.
that already Star Wars existed.
I was born the year after it came out, so I'm a little bit older than that person. A little bit. Anyway, it's fair. It's okay. I'm old.
Yeah, I'm the oldest in the room. I'm older than you, so
Yeah, but I mean, look at you. Who thinks Barry looks really good?
Great.
But you grew
I
up.
eat Beskar. That's all you have to do.
But you grew up with knowing Star Wars and the success of Star Wars, and then you entered this universe. Were you fans before? Or what did you know about Star Wars before you became part of this?
I would say I was a very amateur Star Wars fan. I loved it. I'd seen all the movies. When I was a little kid, I think my gateway drug to Star Wars was the Ewoks, because I don't know how old when the second, I was not alive when the first one came out. The second one came out, I was very little, and I liked these cute little furry guys. So I was obsessed with Ewoks for a while before I really understood what Star Wars was. And I'd seen all the movies, but I did not know how much I didn't know until I started working on The Mandalorian, and I was so relieved that we had Dave Filoni on set with us because he is Star Wars. And so any questions that I had about, what things that I was saying, if I needed to ask, is this something we already know? Is this new? I could go to him and make sure I was getting it right. So that was a tremendous comfort. But I still learned. I feel like I learned from the fans in every convention.
Yeah, often just when I think I know a little bit more, someone comes up to any one of our tables and they're like, "Do you remember in season 2, episode 4, when this and this and this happened? Don't you think if you look back to the first movie in the history of Star Wars based on it?" And I don't know. Like most of you know so much more than us, but I've told this before. My Star Wars, I guess, love started more of hate because my dad was like all things Star Wars, but he used to wake me up as Darth Vader. My brother and I had twin beds, and I'm not a morning person, so either.
Nobody wants Darth Vader to wake them up.
No, but he would lean over me and go, "Barry, I am your father. You must get up." It made me so angry. So at first, I really did not like Star Wars based on that, but eventually I embraced the dark side. Yeah. That's all. I had a very serious childhood, so my dad and my younger brother were always playing with toys, like Star Wars toys, but I was always having to train gymnastics or go to like theater or something. So like usually I would be leaving the house, watching my dad and my brother play like all things Star Wars, and I'd come home to them playing with toys, and I was like having to be in the middle. So I got to play later in life. I think that's what makes this so fun. Like being on set, I'm like, oh, now I get it. What it's like to get to play Star Wars just in like real time.
And Rory, you told us your connection to Star Wars was already deep when you were young.
Yeah, I mean, for those that weren't here yesterday, just the kind of quick synopsis is that I came to know Star Wars when I was in the hospital as a kid. I was about 6 years old, and I was in the hospital for a month. And, it was a traumatic time for me, and it was Star Wars, Luke's story, that really gave me hope that I was going to be okay. So for me, what's really cool about this whole sort of full circle is that when I get to go and meet other fans of the universe that we all love and enjoy, that 5% of whatever I make at these conventions, that goes back to the same hospital that I actually had my journey begin. So I was in Children's Hospital, their families, that's my way of being able to get back and say thank you. So thank you all so much for making this world what it is and coming and say hi and enjoying this fun universe that we all enjoy and it brings us together. So thank you.
So I asked yesterday for like homework. Okay, sorry, I'm a teacher. To prepare some questions maybe. So if you got any, please ask. Oh yes, please.
Hello, I'm Alex. You are all favorites of mine. Rory, you are my favorite. And maybe talk about the best moments in films, the Star Wars series, and the most challenging ones, the most difficult ones.
Thank you, Alex. I love you too. I would say that my favorite, because of sort of that full circle, is well, it's really tough actually. But I mean, it would be the first day I was on Book of Boba Fett. I was on Tatooine, the birthplace of Luke's story, and the birthplace of my story. And for me, I really didn't get any better than that. And like I remember too, as a Tusken Raider, you have this mask on, and it can be a little claustrophobic. I'm not gonna lie, just because you can't get it off without somebody else helping you. And so usually the first time you're doing something, you don't want to like rock the boat or feel like you're rocking the boat. And I remember they said, hey, everybody, it's time for a mask break if you want it. And I was like, nope, I'm good. I'm going to stay here. I'm going to stay like ready to go, ready for the action if it needs to be called. And then somebody came over and they kind of gave me this gentle kick. And they said, hey man, are you okay? And I look up, it's freaking Jon Favreau. I'm like, okay. And he's like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah. And then he asked me, I think, one more time, and then he left. And I just remember thinking of how cool it was that somebody like me, I'm not a title character by any means. I'm somebody who's able to help make the story come to life. But Jon Favreau, the kind of, him and Dave Filoni being the fathers of this new Star Wars, he actually cared about me. He didn't know me, but he wanted to make sure I was okay. And I thought that was the coolest thing. And I think, in general, with Star Wars, we're all kind of a family. It's the banter that you see from us from time to time, or that love that we look at each other with admiration of hearing the story and hearing how you resonate with it. That's a real thing. It's not something that's a facade. It's not fake. It really brings us together. And I think for me, that was just the epitome of that. It's just like, oh my God, thank you, John. So that would probably be my favorite. And then the most difficult would probably be walking. When we were doing Kenobi, we were filming inside a mine in Pacoima, and it took us like 20 minutes to get down from the top to the bottom. And I remember it got 115 degrees. And so I'm getting ready to call Vader when he's encountering Kenobi for the first time on that planet where they find the path and all that stuff. And I remember I'm walking, and as I'm walking, all of a sudden the ABS plastic or whatever started kind of like going off my legs. And as I'm walking, all of a sudden my butt plate fell off. And when you're on set, you keep going until they yell cut. So they didn't yell cut. So I'm kind of trying to squeeze, maybe look a little sauté as I'm walking down. And finally they did yell cut. And I was like, I gotta go pick it back up. But that was really, really hot. And we did have some issues with the heat, but I mean, hey, how many stormtroopers can say they lost their butt plate as they're walking and getting ready to call it?
Are you sure you lost it, or just like, was that intentional?
Oh no.
Sorry, I guess that was a bad joke. I'll do like a quick combination that were both bad and good at the same time. So, what I've loved about men's clothing in general as it progressed is women had spandex in their clothes way before men did. And like when you do athletic moves and you're squatting and you're moving, spandex is like really helpful. But Mando's costume doesn't have any spandex. So often they're like, okay, run, do this. And then I would do it, and then I'd always rip my pants, like right here. And so
I'll ask you what you asked Barry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rory.
Rory.
Was that accidental, or did you
No, it could have
rip
been.
your
It could
pants
have
on
been.
ribbon?
It could have been planned, but so I would have to lay on a table face down, and Mike Menzel would like stitch up my pants, and then we would continue until they ripped again. And then so there was no spandex. So any of you that are cosplaying, I don't. Can you relate to that? Has anyone ripped their pants? Yeah. Yeah. It's tricky. And then another really fun moment was it was me and Misty Rosas, who played the Frog Lady, and we're in the ship, and it's the episode with the spiders and the ice, and we're supposed to continually like crash, and then we wait, and then we crash, and then we wait, and then we crash. No one had told us that they had actually used hydraulics for the last crash. So they're like, crash, and we pretend. Like, crash, and we pretend. And then we think we're done, and then they dropped us. Like, really dropped us. And, anyway, so it's just like, no one thought it would be important to mention they were really going to do that. Anyway, good times.
Yeah, I think the costumes, as incredible as they are, have always been a source of my angst, because I remember the armors, like my armor is not nearly as confining as Mando's or as Paz Vizsla's. Anytime I was in a scene with Tate as Big Paz, I did not complain about anything. But it's not very conducive to hammering, which I had to do a lot of, particularly in the episode I did of the Book of Boba Fett. And Bryce Dallas Howard is an amazing director. She's also a very thorough director. And so I was hammering for a really long time. And I was hammering in ways that were like, they wanted to defy the laws of physics. Like they didn't want the hammer to bounce. And the hammer's steel, and it's hitting steel. And that is physically impossible, kind of, for it not to bounce. So they put clay on it, but then the clay would get stuck and it would show. And I just felt like my arm was going to fall off by the end of it. And similarly, when we were doing the scene at the beginning of season 3 with the big, like, giant gator dragon, whatever he was, I got to come in and collaborate and try to do like a little bit of the stunt work. But we were in our armor, and we had to wear wetsuits underneath because we were getting in the water, and we're covered with sand. And it was like the grossest, and it was like so hot outside. So it was like the grossest feeling, but it was also so much fun because I was getting to like run and like dive and, you know, roll around in the sand. So it felt miserable, but it sort of also just, you know, felt like I got to be a kid and play around and make a big mess. And I think a lot of the moments were kind of a combination of like, what's happening? I'm delirious, but it's so fun. Because strange things happen when you have to wear armor for a long time, as you guys know. Yeah, I bet some of them might even be asleep right now. That was what, I don't remember his name now. He was one of the Mando stand-ins who like would come in when Mando wasn't doing much, and he was bragging one time that he slept through an entire scene.
That was mean. I have one more really funny one. At least I think it's funny. What was the episode? Sorry, these get mixed up because we film out of order. Where there's the big like wormy creature that they kill, and Timothy Oliphant. Yes. So the Crate Dragon is killed, and at the end, Mando's supposed to like have all this slime on him because like we've killed him. And so I'm standing there, and there's like the costumers have 2 buckets of slime. There's like a green bucket and a red bucket, and they're like, okay, it's the green bucket, and they're like conversing. We better check with John one more time. So they go check with John, or they said they checked with someone, and so they're like, yeah, it's this one, it's this one. Like everyone's sure, it's this one. So they pour the slime all over me, covered in this slime, and then I walk out ready to film, and they're like, that's the wrong slime. So water hose, spray me down, new slime, again. Yeah, it is. So many things that behind the scenes that no one would ever imagine. I think that, yeah, like Emily said, the costume's phenomenal. I love how too you mentioned how like you wear these gloves. Your gloves are worse, and you're supposed to do really
Season 1, John called my gloves my oven mitts because they were so cumbersome, and I'm supposed to be picking up very tiny, and I couldn't grasp anything.
So sometimes they forget once you look like you're really cool, whatever, Mando armor, they forget there's a human in there that doesn't actually have superpowers.
Right. I'm really sorry, but we're already running out of time again. It's so great to listen to your stories. Well, if you can't get enough of this, you see them at their booths, take pictures, get things signed, talk to them, listen to stories. I know they appreciate that, and you will definitely get some more and maybe useful reads to them. So whatever you wanted to say about Barry, maybe it's something for the booth to tell someone. We're so happy to have you here, and I hope to see you again on the stage. Well, you're set, I think.
There is an institution here.
You know,
I live here. This is my cot's right by here.
we're nothing without you. So. Ready? So, once again, this time for Sunday, last time this year, ladies and gentlemen, for Mandalore!
Ateşin kostümleri